This video is brought to you by Straight Goods News, Canada's alternative online news source. Visit straightgoods.ca.
I think it's passing strange that the Conservatives accuse you of causing friction with the Alberta government, and you have the immigration minister calling the deputy premier another asshole.
I remember when they were in fits of apoplexy because I had dared use that horrible word, messenger. It's strange also that Mr. Kenney was given 8 occasions today to stand up and do the right thing and to apologize. His failure to do that says a lot about the Conservative government and their failure to recognize reality. I mean, look at Minister Taves today, standing there and saying, I'm not sure, I'm not really aware that anybody was recording. Of course he knows that there was recordings going on, but he's still going to try to play the game. He's changed his mind because there was never any privacy audit done before they started that in the airports. They're not looking reality straight on, and that's the problem with the Conservatives. It's a shame. I met the Deputy Premier when I was out in Alberta a couple of weeks ago. Nice guy, gentleman. We had a very tough discussion on some substantive issues, but when we left, we both talked about what a cordial meeting we had had. I mean, that's the way you do these things, even when you have differences of opinion. That's what Stephen Harper and his team can't deal with. Anyone disagreeing with them on anything. That's what this is about. Jason Kennedy's refusal to accept someone like the Deputy Premier of his own province daring to disagree with him on an important immigration issue.
What do you make of the fact that he is repeatedly refusing to apologize for what was obviously intended to his private communication, but now that it's public, it is an obvious insult.
They have trouble doing the right thing. It's simple. You stand up and you say, I shouldn't have said that, and I apologize. You can have very strong differences of opinion in politics. I've had them in the past, of course, and I got to meet the Deputy Premier. Frankly, I found him to be a real gentleman. And we had, some parts of our conversation were on serious, substantive issues. We weren't going to agree on all of them, but we had a polite, cordial conversation, frank exchange of views, and I had nothing but good things to say about the meeting when I had a press conference right after. So it all goes to show that, when these things happen, I think you just do the right thing. And I don't understand why Minister Kennedy
oversteps its boundaries. What did you make of that comment?
It's interesting to see when these answers come. Minister Baird's answer with regard to the PBO supposedly overstepping its boundaries came in answer to my third question. So he knows he's closing the questions from the Leader of the Opposition. That's important because you know that it's a planned response. So this was laid out in advance, the exact choice of words. He had his document in front of him, he was reading. This is something sent in by the Prime Minister's office. So it's a warning that Kevin Page has made the ultimate mistake. He doesn't tell the Conservatives what they want to hear, and he actually wants to be able to say the truth to the Canadian public population, and that's the lesson that we take away.
Somebody that they put in place in the first place. How do you see them interpreting him overstepping his bounds? What is it exactly?
Kevin Page is a central player in the putting into place of the Accountability Act. They said that they were in favor of more transparency. They said that they wanted accountability, reddition de comptes, imputabilité, all these high-sounding phrases that the Conservatives used to talk about when they were in opposition. They're no longer believing in them. So right now the Conservatives are sending another strong message. You're not allowed to disagree with them. And by the way, even if you have a mandate under the law to give information to parliamentarians and to the Canadian public, you can be starved of that information even if it's a clear infraction of the law. Joseph Elliott Magnet, one of the signers of the legal opinion for Kevin Page as PBO, is one of Canada's most distinguished jurists. And for the Conservatives to try to simply steamroller that and say they don't have to take it into account is galling, but I guess it'll wind up in the courts like everything else. There are two main concerns we have with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but the key one for us is with regard to la gestion de l'offre, the supply management. We're concerned about pharmacy as well. Don't forget that health care expenses are up to the provinces. Canada has rules right now that allow us to access a little bit quicker than, for example, some of those partners, some of the generic drugs, try to bring down drug prices. So that's something we're concerned about. On supply management, it's something that works. Now, something odd happened yesterday. Mr. Keddy in the House read a quote from one of the presidents of the Dairy Association producers. Now, what was interesting interesting in that quote is that on face value, it supported supply management. The quote said there's nothing incompatible between supply management and negotiating an international trade deal. So if that is indeed the position of the Conservatives, we'll be very happy, because we believe that supply management has given farming families across Canada the ability to maintain their farms, to maintain production, and not lose them when there's an up and down in the market like happens in the U.S.